Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and welcome to Prog Chattery 777. We've been talking about Jethro Tull, and we've made it to the most controversial, I think the most controversial album I ever did, 1984's Under Wraps. Oh yes, I've been looking forward to talking about this album because I don't think this album gets talked about enough, and I don't think it gets the credit that it deserves. Let's just get the criticisms right out of the way. They're valid criticisms. Obviously this is a Tull album. This is not an Anderson solo record. So that means we've got Martin Barre is on the guitar. We got Martin Barre back, and we also have Dave Pegg back, and of course Peter John-Vettese on the keyboards. And unfortunately, there is no drummer on it, and we have the drum machine. That is the single most controversial fact about this album. It is the one album under the name Jethro Tull that features no drummer. And hey, I am a drummer. That should really bum me out, And Tull it had a couple of really good drummers. So the controversy there is well deserved. However, I think this album represents a certain culmination in Ian Anderson's songwriting, where he arrived somewhere very unique. And it's funny. It's almost hard to compare what's on this album, the music on this album, with anything Tull had ever done before, because it's nothing like anything that had ever been under this moniker before. I think it is kind of like it does kind of form a duality with Walk Into Light, the Anderson solo album that was released just before this. But I think this is better than Walk Into Light. I mean, Walk Into Light is, you could argue, is an electronic album that could be considered rock. This is a rock album because we've got a full band. We've got a great guitar player, Martin Barre, and a great bass player in Dave Pegg, as well as all the electronic-y stuff. And I would call this, I would say this album contains some of my favorite songs by Ian Anderson. I just said it. This album has some of my favorite songs ever written by Ian Anderson. And he's written a lot of great songs, and I like a lot of his songs from the period after this, and a lot of his songs from the period before this. But this is just a great collection, a fantastic collection. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It's like, is this my favorite Tull album? Well, I can't say that because it doesn't sound anything like Tull. It's almost hard. You can't really compare it with other Tull albums. It's a very unique thing. This and Walk Into Light represent a very unique period in Anderson's writing and in Tull history and in all of that. He never did anything like it before and never did anything like it after. But here's my proposal to help get this album more recognized. We get Steven Wilson, who does lots of great, remixes and remasterings and all that great stuff. Steven Wilson is good friends with Gavin Harrison, who's a fantastic drummer. He was in a band called Porcupine Tree with Gavin Harrison. Why not do a remastering of this and get maybe Gavin Harrison or any drummer for that matter, and get the drummer to overdub real drum parts onto this, and then the world will see that this is a brilliant piece of awesome sauce, courtesy of Ian Anderson and the lads in Jethro Tull at the time. So yeah, I should just start talking about the tracks then, shall I? I've just been shamelessly kissing this album's ass. So I'll continue doing so by means of talking about the tracks. Side 1 opens with Lap of Luxury. It's funny. It doesn't have the same kind of drama as some of the other intros. Like Beastie, for example, on Broadsword has I love that slow, sneaky, synthesizer-laden intro that builds up. Lap of Luxury, we just get that electronic drum, and then right into some hard rock stuff. And it's funny. I criticize some of the bits on Broadsword and the Beast for sounding like generic '80s stuff, and I look totally hypocritical now because I'm talking about Lap of Luxury, and I'm gonna say it. It's a great song. I really like it. And of course it's got that 80s-ness. It has that generic 80s sound. There's just something about it. It just, maybe it's that, that again, I listened to it at the right age, and I was, I don't know, 18 or 19 or something like that, and just sitting in my parents' basement, when they were on vacation, and I had a week, and I was like 4 in the morning, and I just cranking all of this stuff, and I just fell in love with this record. It's so good. Living in the lap of luxury. Great. And the other thing that's worth noting, I'm stumbling as I get through the tracks, is Ian Anderson's vocal. This is the peak of his voice. This is the absolute peak. I love his vocals on albums like Minstrel in the Gallery and Thick as a Brick, Passion Play. I think he's a great singer, and he was on the top of his game back in those days. But on this album, he really is he's hitting some great notes, and all the drama and all the character and all that is perfectly well preserved. And he delivers a fantastic vocal performance on this album. Which ultimately, when he toured this album, was bad news. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. I'm still trying to get through the tracks. So, I started talking about Lap of Luxury and got distracted. Lap of Luxury is a good 80s rock song by Jethro Tull. Then we go into Under Wraps number 1. This is the full electronic version of the song. This is where we get the Under Wraps. Again, it's a great high energy rock song, and the arrangements are so great. Again, it's kind of typical to Walk Into Light, but Peter Vettese is just throwing in so many of these little musical cues, like there's all these sounds. You're just gonna and of course the production has the 80s-ness in that, but it's just a frenzy. You hear so much going on, and, this is happening, and then boom, and then then it's an adventure for your ears to dissect some of this stuff. And the song itself is great. I think it's got a great chorus. I've got you under wraps. It's fantastic, and we get a new lyrical theme on a lot of these tracks as well. He had this kind of intrigue with espionage and spies, and it's kind of that almost gives it like a Cold War era feel, and that's unique too. He didn't really sing about that kind of stuff so much anymore. So lyrically, it's a certain point in the Anderson songwriting that again is quite unique, and is nothing he's ever really done before or since. So Under Wraps number 1 is really good. Track 3, European Legacy. This one might be the closest to a classic Tull rocker, really. Although the electronic drums do give that. It contributes to the sterile issues. But I think European is really nice. Again, great hook, great chorus. I'll write every check she brings to me. Bop, bop. And again, we get that listening adventure where there's all kinds of different sounds and whatnot that are popping up, and I really like it. I like it all. European Legacy is another great song. Track 4 is Later That Same Evening. This is it's not really an epic of the album, but it is kind of a multi-section piece. It's also a little bit more mellow than some of the other stuff that we've heard. We get it's a very slow build, and it kind of reaches a climax, and then it winds its way down. Again, great example of the espionage theme. Talking about seeing a submarine going. I think it's about. So it almost plays out like a 3-minute noir film, but a song, like a classic piece of film noir. And I think it's about 2 spies from opposing sides, enemy spies that fall in love with each other, and he watches her go down in a submarine at the end, knowing that it's not gonna happen. So yeah, that's a great song, a great example of his writing. I love it. Then we get track 5. I'm gonna sound like such a narc for just loving everything. Saboteur. This is my favorite on the album. I think this is a really great high energy rock song. Martin Bard delivers a wonderful riff. I love that. I love the riffs that pop up in Saboteur. Saboteur. That's all the Peter Vettese stuff. I love that chorus. Saboteur's got such a great chorus. And then again, it's the electronic drums, but the double bass. Picture Gavin Harrison playing Saboteur. Wouldn't that be awesome? It'd be so great. I love that double bass bit that comes in. Yeah, that's the guitar I'm thinking of, at the very end, where he just kind of hits, I think he hits a harmonic. I'm not going to be able to just do it. It'd be silly for me to do it. But Saboteur is just a terrific performance by the whole band. There's some great lyrics in there, take the horns by the bull. Yeah, the gunshot sequence, there's a big gunshot that comes up, and again, it's not a concept album, it's a thematic album, but that espionage thing, and spies and saboteurs, and it's really good stuff. Saboteur, like I said, is my favorite on the album. It's great, high energy, quintessential 80s Tull. It's not quintessential Tull, it's quintessential 80s Tull. This is its own thing. And then side one ends with Radio Free Moscow. This is this one I'm a bit of a less of a fan of, I guess. It's still good. It's still belongs on the album, but this is kind of the first song where I kind of get a bit tired. And I should say too, there's the CD there is a CD version that's got like 4 extra songs, I think, and I don't really like those other songs. I like the vinyl issue of it. I like the vinyl release. I think the vinyl issue has the best sequence of the tracks, and the fact that they left some of those other ones out, I think, contributes to the strength of this particular run of songs. So yeah, Radio Free Moscow, it ends the first side on a weaker note, I think, but it's not terrible. We get that Cold War stuff, obviously, talking about Moscow. Yeah, we flip the album over. We get another album highlight, Nobody's Car. I just love the music in this. I love the arrangement. It's really, really cool, and I think it's not a weird time signature. I think it's just really, really awkward phrasing. The way that the whole thing is phrased together is really strange, but it's got a great bounce to it. Again, we're continuing the espionage kind of theme. Nobody's car. He's talking about don't be suspicious of that black car over there. There's no one watching us. Yeah, or are they just being the car? I'm just sitting here in nobody's car. Nobody mind me. We get the spy theme. I really like that. So yeah, again, it's got there's a great middle section into it as well. We get the Vettese throws in some car horn sounds. We get that all the crazy synth stuff is really cool. I like it. What can I say? Track 2 of side 2 is Heat. This could be the epic of the album. This has probably got the most arrangements on it. The most there's the most it's got the most changes to it. It is kind of a multi-section kind of a piece. And it's got a lot of great drama to it. I'm a big fan of it. Nobody's Car and Heat are a great pair of songs to start off the second side. And Heat's got a big middle section in it that there's a part where the keyboards just come out really, really big, and Martin Barre has this really melodic guitar solo, and I swear, it reminds me of Dream Theater. It really does remind me of Dream Theater. Take a listen to Heat, and you'll know the part I'm talking about. It's in the little instrumental section where we get some bit of craziness that goes on, and like I said, it comes to a part, the drum machine slows down to like a halftime thing, and big choral keyboards, melodic Martin Barre solo, and just think about Dream Theater. I swear. And so obviously Heat's awesome. That's my point. Then we get the next song is Under Wraps number 2. I think I like this more than the Under Wraps number 1. Obviously, Under Wraps number 1 is the big produced version that's got all the synths and all the craziness. Under Wraps 2 is just a nice little acoustic ballad, really. It's the same melody, same song, same lyrics as Under Wraps 1, but the acoustic. I mean, it is a nice thing to have that on this album. That's probably what Walk Into Light is missing. Walk Into Light is just a straight run through of techno sounds, whereas at least this one does have that couple of minutes of there's the Ian Anderson that we all remember. I think it's a really strong song. I think he played it in the early 90s. I think there's a live version of it. Again, I think it's an underplayed song. I think it's a beautiful little piece. I love Under Wraps. Then we get to track 4, which is Paparazzi. this is kind of the showcase for Martin Barre, I think. He gets some really good riffing in there. Although both Martin Barre and Dave Pegg get lots of great opportunities on this album that are really, really good. But Paparazzi, I get the feeling that it might have been co-written by Martin Barre. I'm not too sure. I might be totally incorrect. I'm not too sure. I'm not gonna. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Martin Barre does get writing credit for Paparazzi. He gets writing credit for a lot of these. This is, again, it's probably one of the more collaborative Jethro Tull albums, actually. I think Ian Anderson was more willing to work with Martin Barre and Vettese, and I think that Dave Pegg may even get some writing credits on here as well. And that cooperation contributes to the uniqueness of the album and the fact that it makes it something unique, as well as the production, obviously. But yeah, Paparazzi, like I said, it's Martin Barre's showcase. Not my favorite on the album, but I like the deceptive little time changes that comes in. Like the riff you don't think goes with the drum beat when it comes in, but then it does in the end. That's kind of cool. And then the vinyl album wraps up with Apogee, a song about space, the ultimate frontier. And yeah, it's a cool, slow-paced, atmospheric closure to the album. And again, there's so many great Ian Anderson vocal bits. I can't understate that. This is the peak of his singing. Anderson's vocals are just on absolute top form on this album. There's some great parts. Like I live in Apogee. Beware a host of unearthly daffodils. I'll tell the boys back home something turned up loud. I love that. That's not an example of his great singing. Although it's the character. He's infusing a lot of the character into his voice. But I mean, in terms of vocal songs, they're all great examples of his voice. I mean, he's really killing it. So yeah, unfortunately, even though he was singing really great when he recorded this, the material was a bit much for him, and the tour for this album, he ended up doing a bit of damage to his voice, unfortunately. He had to take a few years off, and it was a little while before we heard another Tull or Anderson album for a while. And obviously, the great vocals on here, and trying to do that. His voice was forever changed after this. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. This is the end of the Ian Anderson voice that we always knew. But I, for one, am certainly glad that he carried on and he started writing songs that were better suited to his vocal capabilities. But it did change. But I'm glad that he carried on because there's still some really, really good stuff. Some of the best stuff in Tull's career is yet to come. But it won't be for a little while. So yeah, that you just heard me kissing Under Wrap's ass for a long time. And if you didn't expect me to say it, I'll just say it right now. Listen to this album, reevaluate it, and again, if by any weird circumstance Steven Wilson or Ian Anderson or anyone hears this, please remaster this and put a real drummer on it. I want the world to know what I know about this. This is great stuff. I think Ian Anderson and Martin Barre both agree. It is one of the albums that they say they enjoy listening back to. So I know I'm not crazy. I think it has some of Ian Anderson's best songwriting on it. You may call me crazy, but I love Under Wraps. And if it didn't sound so different and incomparable to the rest of Tull, I'd say it's one of my favorite albums. You just got to change the production, but that is a great album ultimately. Maybe it's just because I listened to it at the right age, like I said. Blah, 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 blah. That's enough about that. We're going to carry on into the late 80s with the next album, which is Crest of a Knave. So, thanks for watching and stay tuned for that. Okay, see you later, guys.